Aloha everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. I'm really excited to do this video on the Hawaii Big Island General Plan. If you live on the Big Island, you are really going to want to watch this. If you don't live on the Big Island, check out your planning department. See what is coming for your area, because I would highly still recommend watching this, because what's happening with the Big Island could be happening also with your area. So before I get started, I just want to do a quick shout out to the sponsor of my channel, because I do this on my own time. And thank you, Ace of Coins, ACEOFCOINS.com. If you want to lower your taxes, eliminate your tax debt, if you want to buy Bitcoin tax-free, if you want to license your biometric data, your face that's being used by big tech, just check out aceofcoins.com. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact them. And also a shout out to the Voice of Kona Radio, 100.5 FM. Mahalo so much for sharing my shows and my channel. I just really appreciate you guys over there. And if you're listening on the Big Island, please go to StandTogetherHawaii.com. Join us, because we need more people to be standing up against this plan, this General Plan 2045, which Zendo Kern, the director of the planning department, has said that 4,000 locals have helped with this general plan. And he also stated in the meeting prior to the one I'm going to be sharing with you, that every time the draft changed, the people who helped to create this plan were contacted and said, oh yeah, the new draft is out. But there's no way, in my personal opinion and what I have seen and the people giving testimony, there's no way that 4,000 locals have put this plan together for the Big Island, because that would have to mean that 4,000 locals are wanting their property value to drop, are wanting more rules and regulations for themselves and their keiki and for farming and for so much more. So let's get started. I do have Amanda. She's a local from Big Island. She's going to be sharing not only just her video testimony that she shared Friday, which was yesterday, but also she's here with me on live on our recording here, and she'll be sharing her information, because she only got 3 minutes, and this lady has looked at this plan extensively, and she's got some more things to share. So I do want to do a screen share, and I'm going to share with you guys the video testimony of the general plan from yesterday.
My name is Amanda Hatcher. I live in Captain Cook. I plead this general plan as written cannot be adopted. All of the policies and actions, especially on this section, the climate change, it equals a land grab and government overreach. It doesn't promote economic prosperity for the people, nor does it reflect the vision of the community. This general plan needs to provide opportunity for growth and expansion for the people and self-reliance on energy dependence. The net zero, it just will get us to where we're dependent on electricity. There's only one monopoly on electricity here. We need to promote alternative forms. Like propane and gasoline is not a bad thing. And we shouldn't be focused on climate change globally. We need to be focusing on local issues. Such as Mauna Loa. There needs to be a bypass road in South Kona. So if we're going to address policy 8.9, action 8, there really needs to be a bypass road for this in South Kona. There's only the one lane in each direction. If Mauna Loa erupts, when it erupts, it could be devastating. It will be devastating for this whole area of island when everybody needs to evacuate at the exact same time. So please put that into consideration. That needs to be in there. Also catchment tanks, that needs to be nurtured and given people the opportunity to have catchment tanks, collect them, and not have the government try to put smart meters on them, and to like have the Department of Health on private property, like telling them how much water they can use and all that kind of stuff. Also
So what she's saying right there is she's saying there's a section in the plan that says that the planning wants to work with the Department of Health on water catchments. That means they're going to be regulating. They're going to come in and check the water catchment. And there's been no issues. Nobody's been poisoned by their own water catchment. A lot of people live off grid here on the island, and so they're wanting to have more rules and regulations. This is why there's no way, I believe, that locals help put this plan together. Absolutely not, because no local is going to want the planning department on their property checking their water catchment. That is totally ludicrous.
So the building requirements for the catchment tanks to be right next to the water because the fire department has to have access to them. Why don't we put more a fire department placed in strategic places? Because if the catchment tanks are required to be next to the road, then that means that people's houses have to be built next to the road to be near the catchment tank. Basically, it's just government overreach when you are trying to say that when the government has to regulate catchment tanks. Um, and also when it says everything above 3,000 feet is going to go into conservation. So all of the houses that are already built above 3,000 feet, that is a land grab right there because we have plenty of rain here, lots of rain. People can use catchment tanks. We're not dependent on water runoff from like melting snow like other places. So this general plan is written for other places that depend on that snow. 3 minutes are finished.
Okay, well, no, your 3 minutes are not finished. So Amanda, I'm gonna give it to you. Ask you to unmute yourself. You can have as much time as you want and share everything you'd like.
Thanks. As you can see, I don't do well under pressure with that 3 minutes, but yeah, you're right. If you were to go out and ask anybody out on the street on Big Island, like, hey, what do you think about them saying you can't use your gas truck anymore? Try to pull a 20-foot boat, launch it in and out of the water with an electric vehicle. I mean, as a farmer, I know that like you can't use an electric weed eater or an electric lawnmower. They just don't work. We need gas. And I live on a farm. We're on catchment. We use propane, like so many people in this area. So what they're wanting to do is take away propane. They're wanting to take away gasoline. They want everybody to have electric vehicles. They want to have everybody within clustered areas. So no growth and expansion. So we are already having a problem with Kanaka or just people that are from Hawaii being able to purchase land and own land. And when they say, oh, yes, so we really want people to move back to Hawaii, we're going to build government housing. That's not what people want. They want to be landowners. And what this general plan is trying to do is get rid of land ownership. Just like Klaus Schwab said, who is the World Economic Forum leader, he wants everyone to own nothing and be happy about it. And when I was watching Zendo Kern speaking about how he just wants everybody to, ride bicycles around like in their little neighborhood and not have to travel anywhere, more than 10 miles from their home. It's like ridiculous, like we live on an island. Maybe I want to go to the beach over there, or there's a family event on the other side. We shouldn't the government shouldn't be limiting us to one little area and making us work in one little area and saying that we can't use propane. And the catchment tanks is very serious. They want to have the Department of Health inspecting everybody's catchment tanks. They want to put smart meters on them to make sure that you're not using too much, because if there is a fire in the area, they want the fire department to know who has what amount of water so that they can use that to put out a fire. Instead of just building fire stations, in strategic places.
Or water catchment
right?
for the fire station.
Right. We have so much water. So they're trying to say, oh, global warming, there's this drought, we like that we have to be tied to or we have to be saving the rainwater. So instead of catching it in a tank, we need it to go on the ground like that. That's better, and it's like really the word self-sustainable and self-reliance is catchment tanks. So that's just completely in left field when they say that we're taking water, from the Aina by collecting it. And that's not true. It's actually so much more sustainable to do it that way. We're collecting it and using it for our own benefit rather than tapping into the aquifers.
And I
they
just want to
also
tell
want to
everybody, the
go ahead.
Zendo Kern is the planning director. So if you guys are like, who is Zendo Kern? He's the planning director, you guys. He's in charge of all this stuff.
Right.
I asked him
Yes.
actually at a break. I said, who's paying you off? Who is paying you off? Because this is not Pono for the Big Island. So go ahead.
No, it's not. And if you were to ask most people, like, are you up for that? Does that sound good that everything above 3,000 feet is going to go into conservation? So people who have houses above 3,000, they're like, what? Really? Like they
Yeah,
don't even know this.
I don't
So
even know.
they're going to, oh, what? Now my land is in conservation. So that doesn't mean that they can pass it on I mean, forget having Ohanas on your house or on your property at all. And then in another section in agriculture, they said that any farmlands that were under 30 acres is called non-sustainable. So they would have to either pull together with their neighbors to build a community of farmlands of 30 acres or more to be self-sustainable, and crop share. They used the word crop share. Now, that to me is communism. Like if you can't, I can't. And that's actually, as a farmer, I know that 30 acres is not sustainable. Anybody who has 30 acres, they're using glyphosate to spray. They're doing all those farming techniques that are Monsanto pushed, for sure, because anything, farming is a lot of work. It rains a lot here. There's a lot of weed control. So the less acres you have, the easier it is. So basically, they want to get rid of small landowners, bottom line. And they want, people who can afford 30 acres or more, Monsanto, to be in the agricultural industry. Look at how this happened to Kauai. So if anybody is not familiar with ICLEI, it is the International, so United Nations Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. So they go to each county where the general plan is coming up, and they slide this here. Don't even worry about working on a general plan. We've got one for you. Look, it has sustainable development, all these pretty words. Of course, we want fresh air and clean water, but they use these words as, if you flip it over, that word actually means government control, loss of rights. And they're using climate change as the scapegoat of how they're going to take your land. And they mentioned in the meeting that greenhouse gas emissions from our vehicles are the #1 polluter here on the island. Okay, so the skies look pretty green to me. I don't think that is a local issue at all. If anybody who's been to LA and stuff, you can see the smog. Like Big Island doesn't even have that. And when you take a drive around the island, there's so much open space. There's so much to spread out. The Big Island is still in infancy when it comes to development. And they're already saying, nope, no more development. No. So this general plan is wanting, it's called infill. They just want all the development to be clustered in Kona, Hilo, Waikoloa, and Puna. Just is these little areas clustered. Then everything else is going to be like no human zones. That's my word for it, because that is. Oh, Michelle, is your mic?
I just was thinking natural resources. I was thinking natural resources because I keep saying natural resources, but there's something I want to share about that. But keep going.
Yeah. So they want buffer zones too, so that there is no development. And I think everybody, mostly, if you look at the proposed land map, land usage map, it should scare everybody, because anything that goes into conservation, we lose completely. It's not our land anymore. It's not open space land, which would be for the county. It would go to this Honolulu. The bureaucrats who run Honolulu will be the ones who own it. We won't even get to step foot on it. So
yeah, that's right. Can you guys imagine? You guys are living on Big Island, and you cannot enjoy nature or go down a path because it's conservation. Mm-hmm. And they want to do this for a property that's above 3,000 feet on Big Island, and there's a lot of property there. a lot of land.
Right.
So this is an absolute land grab, which you said
Right.
in your testimony.
Right. And they used that above 3,000 feet thing because they put that in all these general plans. The United Nations is like, well, you know, people depend on water runoff. So like, let's think about Colorado or California or something. They have snow melt. It goes into the rivers run down to the lower elevations. That's where they get their water. Because it doesn't rain near as much as it does here on the Big Island. So that story may fly over there, but over here we have plenty water. We're not dependent on any stream runoff from the mountain. We have catchment tanks. I mean, that's where else on the earth can you grow food 12 months out of the year? I mean, we are in such a place where we are so set up to be self-reliant. We don't need these boats coming over. We don't need Monsanto to
if we set it up. You are absolutely right. And I just want to say
the government to have the agriculture lands, because that's another issue that I want everybody to know. They've listed a lot of farmer owners don't know this, but they should look it up to see if their land is one of that were designated important agricultural lands, which are on the docket for the land acquisition program, where they are going to take it by eminent domain. And they say it's for the greater good, for food security, for the greater good. So that means the bureaucrats in Honolulu will be controlling our ag lands, food sources, and not the local farm owners. Like, they will either get it taken by eminent domain, but then the government says, oh, well, they can leasehold it from us if they want.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, thanks,
I saw this.
Government, you know, and it's like, you know, what taxes, who's going to work on it? You know, the migrants, I guess, because they want to do workforce housing on it and build little communities of workforce housing. So I don't know, ship people over and like have them work that don't even own the land. And then when the tax money runs out, which you know it will, because it only trickles to the outer island, they spend it all on Oahu, all of that tax money. And then we're going to just look at this land and be like, even the conservation land and these ag lands that I'm speaking of, they're probably going to go into disarray because it's not being taken care of. Who do we call? A 1-800 number? Someone on Oahu, like, you guys are not taking care of this. Cane grass is all over. There's vines, there's pigs, there's goats overrunning everything. And you can't get a hold of anybody because now it's not a local issue. We need to keep our land locally because the government is supposed to start locally. We are supposed to be the most powerful is here. Our county is supposed to be the most powerful government. And then it is, you know, that it goes to the state. You know, we are supposed to be sovereign. So we need to keep our land ours. And once we lose it, once we say, okay, yeah, thanks government, take care of our land and put it in conservation, it's gone.
It's gone.
And then there's no land left for growth and expansion, which, you know, you look at Big Island, it's still big. We could have more landowners. Kanaka can buy things if it wasn't being so much as going into conservation. There needs to be more for the people and for our future. And they kept saying, oh, it's not going to change the zoning. But yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
When we leave that land, if we're lucky to be landowners, we leave it to our keiki, they're not going to be able to do anything with it because the zoning will change. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. It doesn't matter because they said that's where we want the land usage to go, and it wants to go to conservation. So that,
and I just want to say, Zendo Kern, again, the planning director, he said exactly that. He said this doesn't rezone, but he did say it does, and I'm just going to paraphrase, it opens the door to rezone. And that's exactly what they're doing. If you guys are watching and you're on Big Island, you've got to come to these general plan meetings. You got to join standtogetherhawaii.com. I will send you an email. If you don't have time, if you can't be there live, if you can't do Zoom, you can send them an email. I make it really, really simple to show you the bullet points that you can talk about and the emails where to send it to. So please join standtogetherhawaii.com because we have 6 more chances. 6 more chances. This
December 5th is the next one.
Is the next one
December 5th?
December 5th.
And that one's in Hilo.
Oh, good. I'll be back in Hilo then. So awesome.
Okay. And December 16th will be in Kona.
That's right. So December 5th, December 16th, mark your calendar, usually at 9:30. So if you can be on Zoom, if you can be live, if you can't, email.
December 5th
This
is at 5 p.m., by the way.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. So if you are working, then you can come there after work. That would be really, really great. And let's get that place packed because
Yep.
we want to cease and desist
It needs to
this
be on
plan. We
record
want to
that there
stop
is
it.
there it needs to be on record that there are people who are not in alignment with this plan.
Yeah.
Yes, show
Zendo
up.
Kern
Just be there.
Zendo Kern was talking about how 4,000 people, locals, helped to put this plan together. No way.
No, he never said locals. That was my question. He said
Oh,
4,000 people put input. And I
thank
think that
you.
that's probably stakeholders, the corporations or whoever is invested in this plan
That's
as
right.
is, because I guarantee locals, like Big Island residents, I mean, if most Big Island residents knew about this plan and all the changes that are going to trickle from it, I don't think that the plan would be written as it is.
Absolutely. You're right. You're right about that. He did not say locals. He said 4,000 people. That's right. And then he was asked, were they contacted every time the draft changed? And he said yes, but that's not true because you were a part of it and you weren't contacted.
Yep. I've been following this since 2019, and they had workshops scheduled and then they were canceled because of COVID. So I don't know how these workshops even occurred because I was on the list. My emails, I had 2 emails that I put in the list to be notified, and I never got an email from them saying that there's workshop rescheduled or anything like that.
Yep. Yep. Well, so you guys, standtogetherhawaii.com. It's super important for us to get together on this, especially if you're on Big Island. If you're not on Big Island, check your general plan. And how you find it is by putting in your town or your state and just put general plan after it, and it'll come up. You'll see it. And then look in your general plan. Do you have stakeholders? Do you have clustered housing? Do you have buffer zones? Do you have
Find out if your county is an ICLEI member.
ICLEI.
ICLEI.
ICLEI, you guys. So anything anything more you want to share, and then I'll go back to the testimonies.
No, I guess not. Well, if nobody knows vehicle miles traveled, they're gonna want to tax you for if you go any more than 10 miles.
Tax you. There are incentives. They say incentives in this plan. They say we're going to incentivize people to do this. Incentivize means more taxes. That's what that means.
And they even said tax. They used the word tax. They said tax on vehicle miles traveled. Also, they want net zero by 2045. That means no gas vehicles. So all those lifted trucks, you guys like your lifted trucks, you like to go and pull a boat from the water. Not with this plan. So I just want everybody to realize this. And you won't even be able to buy an old vehicle that's gasoline powered. They're going to make it, when you go to the safety checks, they want 0 emissions. That means being tied to the grid, being chained to that electric bill. I don't even have an electric car, and my electric bill is $200 a month.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say
a car plus my husband's car, or whatever. How is anybody going to be able to afford that? And then we're not self-sufficient. We are Big Island will be stranglehold on the grid, the electric grid. So I don't think anybody wants that. I can't see anybody wanting that. There's a few other issues, but we can save it at another time.
No, do it now.
One interesting thing is they want to get rid of our current libraries and make libraries in public schools now. So that means if you have an elementary school kid that's going to school, there can be transients coming to their school saying that they're just using the library because that's what they want to do. They want to tear. So why even waste the tax money? What's wrong with our libraries right now? They want to get rid of the libraries and then make the current schools be public places for libraries.
That is disgusting.
Anybody off the street can go into your little kid's school, and if they're questioned, why they won't be questioned because it's a public library now.
Wow.
I don't see any parent being for that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that part.
That's scary to me too.
And anything else you want to share about it? Keep going. This is your time, Amanda. Share it all.
Okay. So they want to spend all of them when they get to the transportation section. They're going to want to spend all the money on more transit oriented and bike paths. I love bike paths. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great, but in Kona only. So that means that they're not thinking about, okay, a problem that I have in South Kona is if there's a wreck on this road, the road can be closed. I've had to sleep in my car with my two kids in one occasion. Another occasion, I had to turn back around and drive around the whole island because there was a wreck. My friend, not was that a week or two ago when all the rains happened. She was in Hilo. She went all the way to Pahala and the road was closed because of the flooding. So she had to go all the way around Saddle. Why do we not have a bypass road? Not just that, because Mauna Loa is going to erupt, and everybody in South Kona who live on the southern slopes of Mauna Loa are going to need to evacuate at the exact same time. And that's not going to happen, folks. We need to press them that we need more development. We need another bypass road over in South Kona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want to be clustered. We don't. No, I think most people live on the Big Island because we don't want to live somewhere like Honolulu or LA. Yeah. And they want to make Kailua Kona like Honolulu. They just want us
disgusting
and in big, no landowners. They just want us in apartment buildings with 24-hour surveillance.
Yes. Yeah. So you guys, that's what's happening with the Big Island. Yeah. Please join us, standtogetherhawaii.com. We can stop this. And what I love too is I do believe the commissioners are on our side. I really do believe at least some of them are. I don't know if all of them are, but they're asking some really, really good questions. So I do want to go back to screen share because I want to share with you guys a few more of the testimonies. And then I want to share with you guys some of the questions that the commissioners are asking to the planning development the planning development people. And again, one more time, stand together. Hawaii.com. If you're on Big Island, if this is freaking you out like it's freaking us out with this general plan, which I know a lot of people are just like, I just want to, put food on the table for my keiki and I'm just doing my job and I don't really know what's going on in the world. You better know what's going on in the world because this is coming for you and for your children. And this here on Big Island,
affect everything, tax laws, property taxes, the way your land is used. For everything. The general plan is the apex of all government policy. This is so important. I'm not a politically involved person, but if you're going to get involved in anything, it's this general plan.
It is this.
Stress to you about how important this is.
And I really feel that we've got this because I believe in God, I believe in source of energy, and all of us are moving toward a more free world. And we got to make it happen. It's not going to just happen for us. We have to step up and we have to say, no, we do not comply with this. We want this stopped immediately because there's no way that 4,000 locals put this plan together. Absolutely not. So, yes. Thank you so much, Amanda, for your time and for your effort and in the time it took, because you have kids and you have your life yourself to go through this and have it mean something to you, because you've just schooled me on some stuff too that I didn't know about either. And I've looked through this plan, and they do have an area where it says the problem with traditional and modern the problem with traditional and modern, I want to say infrastructure, but basically they said farming, I'm missing a word here, but is the home ownership from Mauka to Makai, which means the mountain to the sea. They literally said that they don't want people to own property from the mountain to the sea, because the modern technology of how natural resources are run is not conducive to home ownership. This is written in the plan, not exactly like that, but that's what it states. They want to take away home ownership from the mountain to the sea, everybody. So get on standtogetherhawaii.com and join us for December 5th and December 16th for the next general plan meeting, and let them know this is not Pono. Not Pono for locals, and we do not want this nowhere close. Let me tell you, there were the 5 or 6 now planning department meetings I've gone to. Not one person has been in support. Not one. In the 6 different locations I've gone to, Hilo, Kona, Puna, Hakalau over there, Hamakua Coast, all of them, not one person is supporting this, and we need hundreds, if not thousands of us to say, stop this immediately. We do not want any part of it. So I just want to share that. And then I'm going to go back to the testimony. And last words, Amanda, before I hit screen share. All right, here we go.
Thank you, Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, let me do screen share, share sound, share this. I do want to share just a few more. And again, standtogetherhawaii.com. All right. So this first one is Josephine. She's a local here on Kona, and she is a Hawaiian native, so native born here on the islands. And this is what she has to say. Let me just make sure the sound is all the way up for you guys to listen in.
So I've been living in Kailua Kona for 36 years, but I'm originally from South Hilo, where I was born and raised. I participated in the Kona CDP workshops years ago, so I was shocked when my cousin testified yesterday that South Hilo still does not have a CDP plan. How come?
And as I just want to tell you guys, let me just put this in here again. A CDP plan. A CDP plan is a community development plan, and South Hilo, 22% of the island, which is 22% of the island, still does not have a community development plan, and it's not in the Big Island General Plan. So all of the other areas on Big Island have a community development plan, but not Hilo, which is 22% of the island. So, and they want to put this plan through without that. So I think that's really interesting. That's what she's saying right there. Let me continue with her.
Of all the districts on the island, South Hilo is the only district that I know of that is super sensitive to tsunamis. The 1960 tsunami wiped out Waikiakai town and school and the front streets of Hilo. DHHL Hawaiian homelands are located in South Hilo. What are we waiting for? Another tsunami to hit South Hilo so that we can initiate the general plan climate change agenda? The South Hilo CDP should have been done years ago. Next, I wanted to actually, okay. Next, I have been attending the Hawaii County Civil Defense Hazard Mitigation Update meetings. At the first meeting, we listed all the hazards that concerned us. At the last meeting held a few days ago, she showed us the final hazard list. And when I told her that she had left out the engineered weather as a hazard, she said that if she included it, FEMA would not approve the plan. That raised a red flag for me. Why is engineered weather not considered a hazard? When they have been perfecting engineered weather for at least the last 50 years. In fact, they have perfected engineered weather so well that people have been conned into believing that all the disasters that we've been having over the last few years, floods, wildfires, are a result of climate change instead of engineered weather.
So I want to pause her. I'm going to pause her there because that's also very, very true. And she's actually weather modification has actually been happening for over 100 years. The first patent for weather modification was in 1891. And so that was for seeding the rain. So, got that. Hold on. Come on. Pause. All right. Let me get that going. All right. And it's really strange, really interesting, actually, I should say, that we have commercials on our our Leeward Planning Commission meeting. Like that means anyway. I find that comical. So I'm going to go back to the Leeward Planning Commission and share my testimony that I shared yesterday, and I'm going to be stopping and going into showing you the evidence from what I'm saying. So on the general plan.
So they said that they researched climate change with the federal government, not they researched climate change with meteorologists, climatologists, geologists, and other scientists. So what I'm saying there is that the right before we went on, the planning department I don't know if she's an assistant or who she is. She's part of the Big Island General Plan. She was talking about how they were working with the federal government for the climate change model that is in the general plan. But she doesn't say anything that they're working with climatologists and meteorologists. So let me continue with that. There's a World Climate Declaration with over 1,960 credentialed scientists from around the world. And the declaration states, to believe the outcome of a climate model is to believe what the model makers have put in. This is precisely the problem of today's climate discussion, to which climate models are central. Climate science has degenerated into a discussion based on beliefs, not on sound critical science. Should not we free ourselves from the naive belief of immature climate models? John Coleman, America's first weatherman and the founder of the Weather Channel, states there's no global warming. He has a whole documentary about how what they're saying is not true. 50 years, meteorology. I want to share that. I want to share what he said. Here it is right here. This is what John Coleman, who is, again, the first weatherman on Good Morning America. He founded the Weather Channel. This man founded the Weather Channel. And this is what he has to say about climate change. First of all,
the whole thing is based on
he's going to talk about renewable energy.
Concept that we are destroying the planet. Now, they are promoting both solar and wind power. Well, those are wonderful efforts to improve our way of generating electricity. But by the way, they cost us billions of dollars, and they're not very efficient. While they work pretty well where I live here in Southern California, worldwide, they don't work well at all, and the power they generate costs about 10 times the power that we generate using fossil fuels.
So he's literally saying right here, that the renewable energy that they want to bring into Big Island costs 10 times more than our current fossil fuels, and they want to bring this to Big Island here.
So it has really increased our cost of living. And then they tell us, oh, we're killing off the polar bears. That's not true. We're not killing the polar bears. There are actually more polar bears living on planet Earth today than at any time since we've been counting them. And they also tell us, of course, that we're melting the polar ice caps. Oh, yeah? The Antarctic polar ice cap is at an all-time high. And the Arctic ice cap is increasing again after diminishing. They tell us, of course, that we're flooding the shorelines. Excuse me, do you live on the coast? How much does the water come up in your lifetime?
So nothing. No water has come up at all in Gila or Kona in any way, shape, or form. There's no part of it that's being threatened to be underwater right now.
They manufacture data to make it look like we're increasing the water level of the oceans, but we're not. And despite all their claims, the truth is we're not experiencing any incredibly bad weather. Now, let me ask.
So I'm going to pause that. I'm going to pause him there.
What is the right climate for Earth? Which temperature range? What kind of weather do you want? Do you want lots of rain?
Sorry.
Or do you want...
Something's going on with my thing. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to continue with Dr. David Dilley. That's the next person that I talk about. And he has been he's a meteorologist for the U.S. Navy for 40 years. So he's going to talk about global warming, and then he's going to talk about the Milankovitch cycle, which shows how the Earth was 800 years ago. It was closer to the sun than it is now. We're actually going into a global cooling. So I do want him to explain what global warming is, because some people don't understand it. They think that it has to do with carbon. Carbon is actually what we are made out of. Carbon is what the plants breathe. We don't have enough carbon. The plants die. We die. So this is what he's going to talk about.
Global warming. What is global warming? Where does it come from? Let's just touch on it quickly. Global warming begins in the Arctic and Antarctic. About a 230-year cycle, global warming comes back again. When it comes back, it takes about 20 years for it to hit its peak. It started in the 1990s, hit its peak this past year.
And this past year is 2023. So 1 year ago, which was 2023. So that's when it hit its peak.
But global warming, what happens is the Antarctic and Arctic warm up. And as it warms up, you have less cold air available to filter southward into the mid-latitudes, and it warms the mid-latitudes. That is global warming. Well, global cooling also begins at the two poles. In 2022,
so I'm just gonna pause this and have this go a little quicker. 2022 was the coldest summer recorded, spring and summer recorded, and 2021 was the coldest winter. And then he kind of laughs. He goes, "Yeah, global warming. How's that for global warming?" So he believes we're going into a cooling phase. And then I want to talk about show you guys the carbon that not only his research, again, this man is 40-year meteorologist for the US Navy, but he's also talking about some other credentialed people who are talking about carbon. So they're saying carbon dioxide is what is causing the global warming, and that's simply not true.
Go back on that, and NOAA and IPCC says the rise in carbon dioxide is 100% fossil fuel. However, on the over on the right in the green, my research using some peer-reviewed journal data and some of my own research shows that the rise is 80% natural. A peer-reviewed journal printed this past year by Scrabble et al. They are three physicists, and they found a formula that separates the various isotopes, and their findings, rise in carbon dioxide is 80% natural. And then peer-reviewed data on plant stomata, 80% natural. So it is 80% natural. We're in a natural cycle on carbon dioxide, and it did not cause global warming.
And now he's going to talk about the Milankovitch cycle and to show you where the Earth was 800 years ago, closer to the sun, and how it's moving away.
Let's take a look at global warming caused by natural cycles. Science. You can Google it, whatever you want. Milankovitch cycles of the Earth-Moon-Sun interactions. Electromagnetic cycles. Essentially, this is what it is. The Earth goes around the sun in an elliptical path. Every 120,000 years, the Earth becomes closest to the sun. And then about 60,000 years later, it's the furthest approach from the sun, greater distance. So the bottom half of this is all ice age, very cold due to less sunshine, and also the tilt in our axis. Our closest approach was 8,000 years ago. We were warmer 6,000 to 8,000 years ago than we were today. The reason was we were the closest approach to the sun and came out of an ice age. We're 8,000 years off the peak now. We're actually cooling down.
There we go. There we go. I'm going to leave that. This is also, you can actually find this at standtogetherhawaii.com, standtogetherhawaii.com. Click on Maui fires and scroll down to weather. I believe it's weather. And you can look at all of these videos fully intact. This is the last one I want to share on this topic. This is an MIT scientist who explains his doubts about the dangers of global warming. And he's so nonchalant about it, it cracks me up a little bit.
Asks about, is the temperature increasing or decreasing? It's always doing one or the other. I have no concern about that. By asking people to worry about whether it's going up or down, you're immediately establishing dishonesty. The Earth is always changing. Climate change is nothing you have to prove. It always is happening. It always has happened. So to make that into something alarming seems to me a little bit weird.
A little bit weird, a little bit weird. More, yeah, way more than that. But here we go. I'm going to go back to my my topic, because then I go into where is it here? Let me show you. If I can just show you here, I will, instead of having it listening to me on there. This is also from, this is one thing I also share the truth about Al Gore's film, An Inconvenient Truth, about, I'm just going to put this on, I'm kind of near a road. So Inconvenient Truth, the
Oscar-winning film on global warming and inconvenient truth contains 9 errors. High Court judge stated, and he's in Britain, London, in Great Britain. And so what happened was there was a teacher, because they were forcing teachers to show this film, An Inconvenient Truth About Global Warming, to their children. And there was a teacher in London that was like, this is not true. This is not true. I'm not going to show something like this to my kids. And he took it to court. He took it to court, and they found 9 errors and the judge said, for instance, let's see here. Yeah, here it is. The judge called the film distinctly alarmist. Okay, let me reread it. The judge said that, for instance, Gore's script implies that Greenland or West Antarctica might melt soon, creating a sea level rise in up to 20 feet that would cause devastation from San Francisco to the Netherlands to Bangladesh. The judge called this distinctly alarmist and said the consensus view is that if Greenland melted, it would release this amount of water, but only after over a millennia, you guys. So a freaking long, long time. So this is 9 different errors, and I believe I even have the 9 errors up. Yes, I do. So the first one, the film claims that melting snow on Mount Kilimanjaro is evidence of global warming. The government's expert was forced to concede this is not correct. Again, these links you can find at Great Maui Land, standtogetherhawaii.com. And then I believe this is the last one. No, I won't share that one. This was about Tesla and their the electric vehicles, which are very scary, very scary. But I do want to share that. Next person, which is Valerie. Valerie killed it here. She was so great. She's a local. I believe she was born here. So she's doing a testimony for the Big Island General Plan. And this is what her testimony is right here.
Here we go.
And you have 3 minutes. Okay.
My name is Valerie Yamagata. I was here yesterday. First of all, I do want to thank you guys. I got clarity. You guys are like, I got it at the end of the meeting yesterday, but you guys are like my dad sat on the planning commission years ago. So I wanted to thank you guys for your giving in representing the people. And so with that today, what I wanted, there's like it stated yesterday, so their words general, it's not detailed. There's a lot of stuff that is general, a lot of stuff that is general, that brings a lot of questions as far as the detail. And until we know the detail, it's hard to say yay or nay, because we do not know what we're saying yes or no to. And so living in this world today.
And I want to say what she's talking about. What she's talking about is, sorry, I just messed that up. But let me go back to her. What she's talking about, that the general plan is so vague. It is absolutely so vague. It's not clear on what they're saying they're going to do. And that is a deep concern to all of us.
Today, what I wanted, there's like it stated yesterday, so their words general, it's not detailed. There's a lot of stuff that is general, a lot of stuff that is general, that brings a lot of questions as far as the detail. And until we know the detail, it's hard to say yay or nay, because we do not know what we're saying yes or no to. And so living in this world today, and I cannot see anybody who would be indifferent. And if you live in America, and I celebrate that we have so much information. Is where we get our information from. And I'm here to say, as you represent us here on the island, and in light of what that gentleman said yesterday, as far as who knows about these meetings, and honestly, it's only because I'm connected. I knew about today's meeting from her site. Without that, I wouldn't have known.
So basically she's saying, and this was stated by another guy, let me put in my microphone. This was stated by another guy that
before, was that nobody's knowing about these meetings. We have 6 more opportunities to speak on the general plan, 6 more, 2 in December, 2 in January, and 2 in February. I'll put the dates in the description for those of you on Big Island. Mark your calendar and come or be on Zoom to give your testimony on this. And that's basically what she's talking about. And I'll just finish her off.
The gentleman said yesterday is very true. How much people sitting right now even know about this? I even question, where's our representative for the island? That why aren't they here? Unless they make it a point, which I don't know, that they actually, make it their business to pay attention to these meetings that'll affect everything. So with that, I hear a lot about the land. I hear a lot about the land. I
just want to say, this is my favorite part of what she says right here.
Not hear about the people. And so I want to highlight that. Our state model, I have not heard people who hold the offices here say it enough. And I say it is time that we remind ourselves, because it's our state identity. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. I will say it again. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Look,
King Kamehameha III said that. He said that the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. And this is what she's talking about, what she's referring to. It's amazing. I love this testimony.
Life. Who is the life? The life is the people. And we use all these beautiful words, malama, malama the land. Who takes care of the land? The people. These plans really, to me, target the land. They're not targeting the people. They bring it in on a side sweep. I have not seen the evidence. This infrastructure, along with that electric vehicles, do you know that we're going to have to, is it in the plan to our bridges over in Hilo site? These vehicles are much, much heavier. Mm-hmm. So our infrastructure would have to be changed. And that will go across America, infrastructure to support the weight of the vehicles. But with that infrastructure, we all know with all of the storms you hear about climate change, we have not even maintained. Talk about Malama. Look at the news.
Malama means to take care of. She's saying we haven't Malama'd our own structures. We haven't Malama'd what we have here already.
It's not me. It's all there documented. Look at Honolulu, the drains all filled with dirt, filled with all the debris, filled with vegetation growing through it. Look at our seconds remaining. Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to pause her because I just love that part where she talked about the land and righteousness. And now I want to go, we have 2 more, and then I'm going to have Amanda speak. First, we're going to go to David. He did a really good job here.
The first is that there is no Hilo community development plan, and no good reason has been put forth, as I explain in written testimony I have submitted to this commission. Nearly a quarter of the Big Island population resides in Hilo. It is not democratic, not representative, not logical to deny 1/4 of Hawaii Island residents input into this general plan. It needs to be halted until Hilo can formulate a community development plan. Give Hilo 1 year to make a GDP. This would allow other unresolved issues, as we're hearing, to be taken care of as well. The second reason this plan is unacceptable as presently constituted is that it is largely based upon a theory which you've heard several times today, a theory that has not been discussed and debated and approved across our Hawaii Island. This theory is climate change or global warming. It is a theory that came out of a world conference in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, which produced Agenda 21. This theory has scientists around the world who favor and oppose it, as we've heard today. Our Hawaii General Plan must be the voice of we, the residents, and not the voice of residents in distant capitals. But the general plan in front of us today is riddled with Agenda 21 terminology, as our general plans across America are riddled with similar terminology because it's based on the same Agenda 21. Mm-hmm. But where is our voice in this? Shouldn't there be a discussion across our county on whether we accept this theory or not? Or whether we choose to look at planning and building and zoning in concrete terms as we did in formulating that original general plan of 1971, of which this present one is to be an update. I propose that during this coming year, when we are writing our Hilo general plan, we simultaneously discuss and debate this theory of climate change and global warming in Agenda 21 for the Hawaii Island. Thank you.
You who are ready, this next one is Pastor Kevin, and he is a great speaker. Love his.
I want to comment that I've never been sworn in to give testimony as a public. I don't know where that policy comes from, but I would.
He's literally saying that they're starting to swear us in, everybody. I have to put my mic on and back and forth because for some reason my computer's not doing the sound right. But anyway, him and another person are talking about the swearing, and all people had to literally raise their right hand and swear they're going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. But none of the other people, like Zendo Kern, didn't have to raise his hand to say he swears to tell the truth. So that's what Pastor Kevin is talking about, that he's never had to do that before with public testimony.
I don't mind swearing to tell the truth. I pray that everything I say is the truth, but it's actually our public servants that need to be taking the oath, especially those who are paid to represent us. And I would appreciate that they be sworn in when they give testimony as well. So just my comment. So I mentioned the thing about the CDP. Several people have made testimony already, and I think there's really good testimony. Appreciate everybody on this call. Thank you for all of my peers here on the island that are speaking up. I also object to the presumptions that are going in with this sustainability agenda. This word is throughout the document, and as the presenter from Oscar mentioned, it affects highways. It affects. It's like threaded throughout everything. This assumptions about climate change. So when that was first popularized in the late 90s, Al Gore, he called it global warming. At the time when we were on this, if I recall right, a 13-year cooling cycle. So that kind of got rebuffed. But now it's been replaced with a term that's deceptively accurate, and that's climate change. So it's already been testified. But how can you be wrong about climate change, right? But the problem is that it's a crisis. If it gets warmer, it's a crisis. If it gets colder, it's a crisis. It's all because of climate change. And then what's the problem? What causes it? Well, the assumption is that it's human population and it's the burning of fossil fuels. And as, again, was already mentioned, thousands of people have come up debunking those premises and those presumptions. And I just don't want us, and I don't want our planning commission, local people who are standing in the gap between whatever the agendas are, whoever's influencing and whoever benefits. You commissioners are tasked with safeguarding us, we the people. And thank you for doing what you do. I'm very grateful for it. And I appreciate all of your service. And as far as I know, none of you are paid to do what you do, so even more so. We need to hold those that we do pay to a much higher standard. So those are the two comments I wanted. And in the last 30 seconds, I've given written testimony, so I'd encourage people to listen. I just wanted to give a couple of websites for people.
So I want to go into Millicent because he's talking about Oscar. We need to know about what Oscar is, because Oscar will literally take away all of our power to testify toward things in the planning department. It'll be an umbrella over the elected officials, over the commissioners, and it will literally null and void the people's voice. If Oscar goes through, the people will have no more power on the planning department, or probably for that matter, any other testimony that we give in the government. So let's learn a little bit more about what Oscar is by Millicent, who also is very annoyed with the fact that she's got to do an oath to tell the truth.
Before I raise my right hand, without a Bible to raise my right hand or to raise my left foot or any other request on your behalf to make it, to somehow officiate whether I'm going to be telling the truth or not, which I can assure you I am.
Excuse me, we're going to stop you before you begin, because for you to begin, you need to raise your right hand.
Who declared this law that all the public should have to go through any process? You are actually.
Excuse me, your 3 minutes begin.
And if you choose not to tell the truth, we will not be allotting you 3 minutes.
I tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
I tell the truth.
Okay, you will have 3 minutes and I'll let you know when 30 seconds remain. State your name, the town you reside in, and you may begin.
Millicent Cummings in Hilo. I speak to you today on behalf of a newly formed group of concerned citizens who have educated themselves about the GP 245 or 2045 and have therefore organized to address key points of fact and grave apprehension. Our intention is to co-create a plan that would better reflect our actual and immediate needs for a legitimately sustainable plan for the future. We are a diverse group of residents who are of one mind in declaring that our voices must be taken into account in tangible ways within a plan that is not influenced by or beholden to unelected officials from the UN, WHO, WEF, or any other outside agency. Thank you for taking our testimonies into account as you continue re-examining the allegedly final draft of a plan that impacts our collective present and future here in Hawaii. We also thank you in advance for the simultaneous acknowledgement that our voices throughout the public testimony period have thus far remained scant from the draft, most notably those of the original inhabitants of the Aina in question, the Kanaka Maoli, whose sophisticated knowledge of the interrelated living systems here far surpass the ideations of sustainability voiced in this plan, as evidenced by so many centuries of succeeding in abundant self-sufficiency with no outside instruction. Also lacking are the voices of property owners, farmers, and those who recognize the direct threat of non-negotiable and constitutionally protected rights that would be severely curtailed if the plan were to proceed. Most notably, the egregious fact that the plan would require all county departments to collaborate with the newly created County Office of Sustainability, Climate Equity, and Resilience, OSCR, as the lead agency, thereby dissolving the powers and duties the lead agencies already in place exercise that we granted to them in order to represent our best interests, not those of corporations, developers, or undisclosed agencies. The influence of such permeate both the content and language of the present plan, which stands in breach of the public trust and constitutional rights. We therefore respectfully demand a timely meeting to both address and establish our voices within the final draft before any approval of it is granted. Without the actual application of knowledge, wisdom, and well-founded precautions thus far presented to you, and over 4,000 testimonies costing so much time and money for all concerned would constitute a negligent waste of both. We sincerely thank you for your timely consideration and reply in order to proceed in a more inclusive and comprehensive fashion, and hope this finds you well. This is the working title of our group.
So I want to go on to two more testimonies, and then I want to share with you guys what some of the commissioners have asked. It's pretty interesting.
In Captain Cook, I'm speaking for myself. Some of the problems that I have with this general plan is there's a lot of information about surface level things, people, the land, scenic things. Those are all good. Yeah, they should stay. But I don't think there's been enough information on subterranean things, such as floodplains. They don't just operate on the surface, they operate underground. Aquifers, we need to be able to drink water. Sewage, the sewage systems, few as they are disgustingly broken. And our wastewater treatment plants, which are the part that is above ground, are terrible. They have been for 30, 40, 50 years. The one issue that I'm really upset about is fracking. I wrote an anti-fracking bill when I was on the council. Fracking occurs for many reasons, such as searching for gas, oil, minerals, geothermal, water, and any other things. And we have now a law for anti-fracking in this county. However, I don't see anything about fracking in this general plan, and it worries me because fracking is actually very dangerous. Fracking can break the shell of our aquifers and our water can leach out, and then we have nothing to drink. We also have no desalinization here, and getting some here would be time-consuming and horribly expensive, and we don't have anybody trained for it anyway. So we need more protection from the people to protect our aquifers, which I don't think you've addressed at all, nor have you addressed fracking. I cannot find fracking in the general plan. So those things need to be addressed. There's insufficient protection for people. One other issue that I have is we've made plan after plan after plan, in only the 29 years I've been here, and the implementation is close to non-existent on any of them. We've known for over 20 years that our wastewater treatment plants are broken very, very badly in Hilo and very badly in Kona. And the other ones that are around the island probably need help as well. We have a problem with implementation, and you're not addressing implementation of all of these different plans, nor are you addressing any violation penalties for violation.
30 seconds.
30 seconds? Hello?
We can still hear you.
Okay.
So
I think we need to address those issues in the general plan and force them to be put into our CDPs and other plans that we have.
So yes, she's absolutely right. There is no fracking information in here. There's no new update on sewage here on the islands. I mean, this plan it's horrendous. Last person I want to share with you is Megan, who is a local who lives in Hilo,
Maui resident,
and she's a business owner, and she has some really good things to share.
Thank you,
Michelle. You notice how it says United Nations definition right underneath the YouTube?
Oh my gosh,
United Nations
climate change. Oh, it's probably because we're talking about climate change. So anytime I talk about the COPID or climate change, then they have to put in their definition. Oh, how interesting. United Nations climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather.
They're the ones who created the term but underneath it, it just is government control. So it sounds nice, but yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I didn't see that.
No problem.
Very interesting.
Okay, bye.
I am in downtown Hilo, a property owner here, business operator here, and I've been tracking this general plan quite closely for quite some time. I am aware of legal issues that your commission will encounter, the county council will encounter, in fact, the whole county of Hawaii will encounter if this plan proceeds. It is unacceptable that Hilo was never included in the planning process, and we've heard a number of different reasons. The fact alone that the reasons given for why Hilo was never included in this plan have been different at different times is concerning, and also I think poses some legal problems for the General Plan 2045. The consultation process itself has been a failure, with multiple failures of the web platform, denying the public opportunity to comment at various points. And there have also been some strange and anomalous scheduling of consultations. For instance, Hilo and Kona consultations were scheduled at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, which is not conducive to public engagement. And there's never been an answer as to why those were scheduled at that time. And lastly, there is an affidavit that has been presented with a number of affiants, co-signatories attached to the affidavit. It's addressing a matter that occurred with public meeting where Mayor Roth denied all knowledge of smart cities, and then 2 days later made an announcement that Hawaii was in a partnership with a known smart city in Brazil. The name of the smart city is Fortaleza, Brazil. There's a suggestion that there have been clandestine, or at least not publicly presented, agreements between this smart city and the county of Hawaii. Many people have commented that they can see evidence of intentions to create urban settlements.
30 seconds.
Limit the freedom of movement of people of the island. All of these things are, they have very much, they point to intentions to create smart city type settlements.
I'm going to just pause her there. SMART, we have an acronym for it. There's not a legal definition for SMART, but and I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth with my mic. It's just the way my computer was working at this present moment. I do need to clean up a lot of stuff off of it. But SMART, what I know to be smart city, the acronym, what it means is surveillance, monitoring, analyze, reporting technology. And actually what's happening in Lahaina at this moment, not to be too off topic, but they are putting forward through a lot of surveillance cameras, and they're saying that they're for traffic. So they are working on moving this stuff forward, and it is up to us to stop it. I do want to go forward and show you guys two things of the commissioners. One is one of the commissioners I really liked. He actually asked a really good question to
explain the accidental growth strategy that kicks that at
all of these commercials on our general plan meeting. Really annoying. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We have another question, Commissioner Kanuha.
Yeah, my question is Objective 7 and Policy 7.16. For that, where is our funding coming from to create these electrical vehicle outlets that are going to be in county parks? Because such is the case. Funding usually comes through us as taxpayers, or subsidized out through, I don't know if it's HECO, as was presented today. You know, HECO is our only source of electricity. I would say, besides the renewable sector that's in there.
So the question is,
we're reduced. So I'm asking where, yeah.
Okay.
Let me finish, please. I'm asking where the funding is going to be coming from to create that, especially with the objective to 2045. I know the county wants to try to go for hydrogen power, zero emission vehicles that are there. Where would all this funding come from? And, you know, what's the outlook of kind of that structure of putting that in place? And I know that was a question, some testimony that kind of came up. Everybody's worried about driving and taking away your rights to drive your car, but legally that's not right. So
he says legally that's not right for people to for the government to take away your right to drive a car, but yet it's actually being done. It's actually being done, I believe, in London, and there was another man who drove somewhere and he got fined. I can't remember the whole story at this present moment, but it is happening. So I love that this commissioner has this question, and here we go.
Give you the floor.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. And funding, as Zendo was describing, is definitely one of our biggest challenges. For this particular electric vehicle charging network, the state is investing in charging networks along their roadways, working collaboratively with the county to identify those gaps in service, Saddle Road being one, the biggest potentially. And then the other funding sources, could be, although it remains to be seen, but there has been federal dollars that has been coming into municipalities to fund upgrades like that. There's some secured already from the Department of Energy. As long as those funds remain in place, that will proceed as well. And then, of course, we could, use county, funding to support, if it's like at a community park or something like that, a charging station that's not really expensive for one charging station necessarily. But the importance is really to look at the map and make sure that we're providing, gap services.
For sure. All right.
So I wanted just to stop there for a moment because this is so interesting, because anytime that you work with the federal government, there's going to be rules and regulations you have to follow in order to get the funding. In fact, that is actually what some council people have said. We can't not do this because then we won't get the funding. So also she's talking about the fact that this is for charging places around the Big Island. Can you, our infrastructure on Big Island, there is already shortages of electricity. And for them to actually think about putting electric vehicle charging stations around the island, which is going to be even more of an impact on our already stressed grid, is mind-boggling to me of the even considering doing this. So let me just show you guys, and it's getting dark here, so I need to end this pretty soon before I'm in the dark. Two things around the electric vehicles. Let's see here. Actually, it's right here. Is safe to ship. So the only way we get things here on the Big Island is by boat. The main things that the main when the ships come in, they're bringing food. But ships is it safe to ship thousands of electric cars on big ships? This ship literally caught fire because these electric vehicles are dangerous. And not only that, the problem with EVs, the electric vehicle, is the lithium ion batteries in the EVs can actually propagate the fire, igniting more vigorously as compared to a conventional car. And then here is a firefighter that's literally saying, let me just let you see what he said.
Work to stay prepared.
Actually.
Talking about it is one thing. I want to know how an actual firefighter deals with an electric vehicle fire. So I came to the El Camino Fire Academy, and I got Jeff here. He's going to walk me through the process. Okay, Jeff, so you get a 911 call that comes in. You got an electric vehicle fire on the side of the road. What do you need to put this fire out?
So first and foremost, we always make sure that we have our personal protective gear on. That includes our helmet, our jacket, our pants, our boots, gloves, and our hood. On top of that, we're also going to have our SCBA.
All right, we got that. We need them.
From the fire. So how long does it take to put out a EV fire compared to a standard car fire?
If it's a regular car, you're looking on approximately a 5-minute fire with about 500 to 750 gallons of water to put it out. If it's an electric, though, we're talking it could go up to 3 hours, probably 2,500 to 25,000 gallons of water.
So how would you find out where the battery would be on a specific car? I guess
some engines, some departments may carry a book on.
So basically, he says that the battery is underneath, and that's why it's really hard to put it out. So they're wanting more people. They're wanting to drive electric cars, which is going to be more stressful on the grid, which is going to be more stressful on our bridges because they're heavier, which is more dangerous in case of a fire, which propagates fire. And they're going to come by boat, which could have food for us on the boat, and the possibility of it catching fire is high. And there's actually some boat captains that won't even ship electric cars. They won't even ship them because of that reason. So for them to consider this on an island is ludicrous, in my opinion, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And then the last thing that I'm not going to share the video because it is getting dark. One of the commissioners was asking Zendo Kern if he could change the language from climate change to pollution. Okay, those are two different things. So I'm just wondering if some of these commissioners know what the heck we're talking about. Because he's like, there's a lot of people that don't like climate change, the word climate change. Can you change it to pollution? And I'm like, okay, are you just going to pick a word? You're just going to pick a word and stick it in the general plan and say, oh, we're doing this now, not because of climate change. We're going to do this because of pollution now. And now we're going to change all these rules and regulations and turn everything into conservation, 3,000 elevation or up there. So, but now it's because of pollution. You can't do that. It just shows that they're just picking words, picking issues in order for them to have absolute government overreach. And that is not okay on my watch. I don't think it's okay on your watch, Amanda, obviously, because you've been doing this longer than me. But if it's not okay for you guys watching this, join standtogetherhawaii.com. That's our we gotta speak our mind here. So I'm gonna do a quick prayer and then I'm out because it's dark because the sun has gone down here on the Big Island for me. Today, Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things, we just give this to you. This time it looks scary. I'm actually let me put my mic in. Hopefully that'll be better sound for you, all of you.
Phone issue today. Oh, Great Spirit, you got this. You got this through us. And even though the feeling of fear is there, the feeling of, oh my gosh, can our government actually do this to us? Are we going to allow them? Is there? But we know, Great Spirit, this is a game. And you have inspired each and every one of us to do our kuleana, to stand up and do what we know to be right. And we give so much gratitude for the tenacity and the endurance that we have to keep going Amanda, we give her so much appreciation for her tenacity of keep going through from 2019 to present time. What a journey she's been on, Great Spirit. We just give her so much gratitude and send her so much abundance and so much safety as she raises her children on the Big Island in a beautiful location, as all people here love this island so much. And Great Spirit, Madam Pele, we just know you are with us. And we know that the hearts of those commissioners that need to do what is right for the Aina, that it is happening. It is happening through them, Great Spirit, that they cease and desist this plan. Just stop altogether. Backpedal. No more. It is not Pono to bring this through. And Great Spirit, we bind anyone who would keep moving, trying to move this forward. We bind them with the blood of Jesus, who he is the one that sacrificed, and he is the one that made the contract of death null and void for all of us. And we know that anybody who does not value freedom and human life, living men, living souls on this planet, that they are bound from doing any harm, as this plan would definitely be doing harm to the people on the island and to our future keiki, to our future children. We bind anybody who keeps trying to move this forward as if it is in the right interest of the people, which it is clearly not. So, Great Spirit, we give this to you. We know it is done. We know legions and legions of angels are always with us. Our guides are always guiding us and protecting us. And we know we've got this through you, Great Spirit, and together. And so it is. So, Amanda, I send you so much love. I'm not too far away from you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Aloha.
All right. Aloha, everyone.